A veteran Green Beret is forced by a cruel sheriff and his deputies to flee into the mountains and wage an escalating one-man war against his pursuers. 1982's First Blood is up next on Inside Movies. Hey guys, welcome to Inside Movies. My name is George Michail. I'm joined by writer and illustrator GMB CHOMICHUK and novelist Andrew Buckley. Thanks so much for being on the show, guys.
Thanks for having us. Maybe you should just introduce us as opinionated jerks when talking about Rambo movies, I think, right? Because anyone who tunes in for this one that's going to hear our subsequent Rambo movies should know that while I like this one, I hate the rest of them.
Everybody likes this one, right? Like this one is this is one of the greatest action movies of all time.
Yeah.
No, it isn't. No, it is definitely not the greatest action movie of all time.
Not the one.
It's not even in the top 10. Not even in the top 10, but it is a solid film. It is a solid film.
Yeah.
All right, let's get into it. What do we like about what's the good of First Blood?
There's so much to like. Andrew loves so much of this movie. Look at his eyes twinkle at just the suggestion.
Fuck you. I have a lot on my good list, all right? Just because I didn't love this movie didn't mean that I can't admire certain things about it.
Just because I disagree with you doesn't mean I can't admire certain things about you.
This is true. This is very true. Good point.
If I line this up right, will I look right into your eyes? I don't know.
I don't think we can do that. I don't. Do I have to look this way or that way?
Is that better?
Was it?
I look.
Yeah,
that way. We can look at each other like that. Isn't it? All right. Okay, stop.
You're making it uncomfortable. It's like your prom photo or something.
Okay, I will go first with one of my good points. This is some of Stallone's best acting. He's done a lot of shit over the years, but I liked his delivery in this, especially that Act 3 shit was really good. His final little monologue there, it's good stuff. He gets underrated a lot, and I think between this movie up until like Copland, I don't think you really saw his acting chops, but when he wants to, he can really bust it out.
Agreed totally. This is young Stallone taking chances as an actor.
One thing I kind of realized with this was like we were talking about like how Home Alone shouldn't be referenced as, you know, that kind of like action movie sequence with the booby traps, and then I was saying in a Predator review that we should call it Dutched because Dutch sets all these booby traps for the Predator. But even before that, we've got John Rambo setting traps for the Hope Washington Police Department.
George, I am so glad you brought this up. One of the things I love about this Rambo movie is realizing it on this recent watch that Predator is a retelling of Rambo. It's just Alien Rambo, and a bunch of like underprepared dudes chase Alien Rambo into the jungle. And I realize now so much of Stallone and Schwarzenegger's career has been aping each other, and I didn't realize until this moment that they're like, we're going to make reverse Rambo with an alien. And there it is.
Wait, so Predator is a remake of First Blood. Home Alone is a remake of Predator, which means Rambo 5 is a remake of Home Alone.
Yes.
Yeah.
You heard it here on Inside Movies.
It's pretty crazy.
I saw Rambo first parodied by Weird Al Yankovic. That's how I first understood Rambo existed. Then I saw parts of Rambo 2, and I was like, oh, Rambo's total garbage. There's nothing to watch here. So it was not until I was an ancient, decrepit man you see before you now when I finally saw First Blood only a few years ago. And I realized that there was such promise in this as a franchise that we will never, ever get. And it's in the small bits. And I want to be real specific here. I really like this kind of writing. Like there's a moment where Sylvester Stallone, his character, John Rambo, has just found out that he's about to find out that his friend has died from cancer. He doesn't know it yet. He's going through his pockets and he starts taking stuff out of his pockets and he's looking for the photo he has kept of his friend. And he makes a comment about like, man, it's weird, the stuff that's in your pockets. it's such a thoughtful moment that is grounded in such reality while he's talking to a grieving family member about a lost friend. And so much of that just evaporates in giant explosions in the rest of the franchise. There's no pathos in the rest of the franchise, but there is in that moment where he is talking to, you know, a person that has lost someone who was dear to him and to them. And if only he could prove it. He just wants to prove it.
Well, and one thing that's really powerful about that scene is he just gives her the photo. And
Right.
you realize later that everybody else in that photo is dead now, other than him. And that's why it doesn't mean anything to him, because it's like they're all gone. There's nothing left to hang on to. And I thought, like, you know, when the police, you know, push him out of town and he's just like, I just wanted to get a sandwich. Like, and just the disrespect to the military at that time. And, you know, you feel for the guy because he's lost and he's trying to find his way in the world. And, you know, and everybody seems to hate, you know, ex-soldiers at that time. And,
well,
you know, now everybody is like, thank you for your service. But at that time, it wasn't like that.
Yeah. And also remember at the time that this movie is released, you know, the shadow of the Vietnam War is a very real thing. It's a very long thing in people's homes and in people's lives. And these are not, you know, to me, seeing it, it's an ancient event, right? But when that movie came out, there were people who had been treated that way, who felt that way, who had family members who were like that, who saw that firsthand, who saw, you know, the literal drifters going through their towns and wondered, you know. And so this was, you know, made of this contemporary thing. And based on the movie, we should give shout outs to David Morrell, who wrote the original book that upon which this movie was based. And the original story, John Rambo, you know, goes on a murder spree. He's triggered and he cuts the throat of the first person basically that pushes him too far. And he just doesn't stop killing until he is killed at the end of the book, right? Blown up, you know, his head taken off nearly by a shotgun. It's a very dark turn in the book. And so the movie takes all that pathos of this like rampaging thing and they cut a little too much off of it, I think. We could talk about the bad later, maybe in the other part, what was left out of the adaptation. But so much of the actual trauma of a real veteran pushed too far. Like I have so much sympathy for John Rambo for the first 20 minutes of that film. Just a dude needs a sandwich. Police brutality.
Yeah, and when they show the flashback there of him, you know, being a prisoner of war and getting, you know, the scars all over his body, and he's got that sweet handlebar mustache, and you know, he's going through that and he's stressing right out, and then they put the hose on him to clean him up, and they bring out the switchblade, and then he snaps, and he's like, oh no, not again, and he just loses it. But then we get like some cool action scenes, like he's on the dirt bike and he's ripping through the fields and the car is like doing like these, like it's making its way through these fields and having these, it's all like real world, like practical effects, you know, practical stunts. And it looks great. Like that chase scene is really cool. And then they got the helicopter coming after him and he does like that crazy jump. You know, there's some legit good action scenes in here, you know, for like a small movie made in like, you know, 2 hours away from where I live, the movie was made. And yeah, just rural setting, you know, let's make like a epic action movie. And like, and they this whole team like pulls together to pull off like this real, you know, simple but effective story.
And it bears pointing out then that written by a Canadian author, filmed in Canada, about an American soldier pushed too far.
But Stallone did do a lot of rewrites. I think what makes this movie ultimately is that final monologue. You know, that's Academy Award winning caliber acting at the end there by Stallone when he has that mental breakdown in the police station and he's talking to his former corporal commander guy.
It's 1982 Academy Award winning performance, I would say. Yes.
Yeah, you know, it's only like a 3-minute long kind of section of that movie, but it's powerful. For me, I had goosebumps. I have goosebumps right now talking about it. I thought it was,
I think that scene's great. Yeah.
Yeah. And I think it makes it. I think it really elevates the movie from just being like another hunting kind of action movie where, you know, people are chasing after one person to
Yeah, and
it kind of kicks it up a notch to
that
be.
part seems rooted in the lived experience also, where he's saying, you know, I used to fly $1 million aircraft, you know, I was trusted with people's lives, and now I can't even park cars for a living. Like, you know, I can't hold a job, you know, which was, you know, this was real traumas that people were going through. And, you know, it really helps that I cannot stand that police captain from the moment he appears on screen. It's supposed to be this arc where he like likes everyone and knows everyone, and then you're supposed to see this turn. But as soon as he says hi to all of those people and then under his breath mutters something about that guy's haircut or whatever it is he does, I'm just like, I hated that guy. I've been in small towns. I've met that police chief. Actually, towns not far where you are from where you are now, George. I've met that guy. And so the thin veneer of pleasantry over top of their ability to just abuse anyone that has longish hair or a, you know, a cut of their jib that they disapprove of. Man, I felt some real kinship with John Rambo, and that's the only time I'll ever say that is in Rambo First Blood.
The structure is weirdly near perfect. I mean, I think Act 1 ends at about 24 minutes. Act 2 ends just over an hour in, I think. Maybe an hour 10 or something like that, and then Act 3 is like 20 minutes. Like, it's the pacing wise is actually structured very well as far as the story is concerned. I have issues with other parts of the movies. The landscape is absolutely gorgeous. That they chose Hope to film it in, like it's supposed to be Hope, Washington. It's Hope, BC, obviously, but I went there and I took the tour and everything that they do for the Rambo thing, and it's pretty cool to kind of see where it was all filmed, and it's got a perfect kind of weird rainy atmosphere that really sets to set the tone of the movie against it. It worked pretty nice, I think.
One thing to your point about the pacing of the movie, the original cut of the movie was over 3.5 hours long.
3.5 hours.
Yeah, and Stallone hated it and almost wanted it to be just buried. He was like trying to buy the movie and be like, just destroy it. And yeah, so I think it's a, you know, a very talented editor, you know, took the scissors to this thing and made a very competent action movie.
I was going to make that comment when Andrew mentioned about the pacing being almost exact for the art. You could, it's very indicative of films that were saved in the edit when the pacing turns on those like marked time moments.
I wonder what the additional hour and a half was. Like, that's a lot of time. I can't imagine what the hell they included in that. So I can imagine why Stallone and his agent, I believe, were like crazy upset about seeing that cut.
Well, but also in 1982,
rats in the cave.
Yeah, in 1982, 3-hour movies weren't a thing. So how could that even?
Yeah, they never would have released that. It's impossible.
Yeah.
Also, Al Pacino was supposed to play Rambo. I like that it was written for Al Pacino with Al Pacino in mind.
You're making that up.
I am not at all. And Al Pacino didn't want to do it because he wanted Rambo to be more like the book Rambo. He would only play it if he was a crazy person. Totally.
My God, now my mind is reeling at the thought.
Can you imagine how that would have fucking looked?
Rambo. No, but not this one. Al Pacino could have crushed this version of Rambo. But I want Rambo 3 with Al Pacino. I want Rambo First Blood Part 2 with Al Pacino. Now I'm in again.
One thing I do like about this movie too is like I never realized this like watching like Stallone's later movies, but he's like a smaller dude. Like,
oh yeah, he's just a little dude. Yeah.
Yeah, and he, you know, and his eyes are kind of buggy, and his, you know, he's got kind of a big nose, and he's shorter than everyone else. And he's not as jacked. He looks like basically like kind of like a regular sized person. And then later in his filmography, he's always up on like an apple crate. So he's like the same size as everyone else, or he hires like, you know, smaller things. But
maybe
like,
this is why he always films the Rambo movies, like fighting in like East Asian countries, so that he will always come across like as a large action hero. Is that maybe?
Lots of uneven terrain, so we can always stand a little bit higher than everybody else.
But what I will say is that your performance in this movie, Sylvester, can I call you Sylvester, was excellent. and I thought it came across really well, except for the rat scene. I didn't quite buy it.
You know what else is excellent, Greg? Your new series. Can you tell us a little bit about the Eye Collector out from Heavy Metal?
The Eye Collector, yes. If you like horror, suspense, strange esoteric layers of mythology, parents doing questionable things in order to have their dreams come true, and then their son getting a equal amount of revenge, I would seek out The Eye Collector from Heavy Metal, available now wherever comic books are sold.
Let's get into the bad. What did we not like about First Blood?
Andrew's got a list.
It's actually not that big of a list, guys. I mean, as much as I just did not enjoy rewatching this movie. I liked the second one way less, but it I don't know, a lot of it came off as slow, and as I was sitting there watching it, except for that last 10 minutes where he does deliver that absolutely beautiful piece, it's not a movie about a hero. It's a movie about a guy who like goes crazy and creates his own war against people that realistically, I mean, may deserve it, but not all of them.
They don't deserve it. Maybe that one guy in the
helicopter. The one
Yeah.
dude deserves it, but
He
like
gets
to
what
go
he
after
deserves.
everybody, like it just seems I have no sympathy for him in this, except at the very end where I'm like, okay, I get it, the soldier part of it, but I do not get your reaction to this scenario. Like it's a little too, I get the PTSD thing and everything, but that seemed like an extreme reaction to what he was going through. It just troubles me as far as a solid character arc is concerned.
Oh, I disagree though. I feel like when they pulled out the switchblade and they were gonna shave him, and he, was thinking of when he was cut up and as a prisoner of war, and he just kind of loses it and fights his way out of there, and all he did was, throw some punches and try and run out of the police station, but then they're hunting him to death, and they make it very clear that they're going to kill him, when he's like trying to surrender and they start shooting at him.
Yeah, when he's hanging from the rocks and and they're just shooting at him, and they're saying on the radio, no, we're taking him alive. And that one guy, he gets what he deserves. Yeah.
He does get what he deserves. That's true.
Yeah. But okay, now this is one of the things we're talking about, the bad. I think that the book itself, now I read it not long after I saw First Blood all those years ago. And what really struck me in my recollection of it, now I didn't revisit it before we watched it. We only have so much time. I couldn't also watch a movie and read the novel before we could do this video. But what I remember the most was that the point of view of John Rambo's character is someone who is just gets unhinged, can't stop, wants to stop. The training kind of gets in the way. And once he's been sort of, quote unquote, pushed too far, what someone else has drawn the first blood, it's you're in for a war. And so that's the part I didn't quite like about this adaptation of it, is I wanted him to go too far, but I understand that if he had gone too far, then he would have had to have died at the end. He would have been the monster. It felt kind of like a horror movie where the slasher guy only killed the one person who did something wrong, and everyone else he just injures, stabs him in the leg, pokes him with a stick in the leg, pushes him in a hole, hits him with a rock, right? Except those dogs, except those poor innocent dogs, which they die off camera so that you don't think he's a monster.
Right. Yeah. I like that he doesn't kill the police officers, and that he's just, he has that level of control. And, talking about the bad though, I did find like the fight in the police station to be,
a little bit anticlimactic,
a little underwhelming, it felt small budget. It felt like these are just maybe local townsmen from Hope, and not actual like stuntmen that like know how to take like a punch.
I screen captured. There's only like 6 stuntmen in this movie.
Yeah.
If there's more than 6, it's maybe 7. But it is a very short list of stuntmen, and so they must have been doing literally every stunt in the film. So my hat's off to them. This is one of those films where, again, this is more good than bad, but it's as a low budget film, right? I think it was made for $15 million or something. And so it's actually one of those movies where the low budget helps them, I think, because instead of everything exploding, they have Rambo hiding more and making traps more and home aloneing it a little bit more, or Dutching it. Dutching it sounds like a sexual move in some way. I think home aloneing is better.
Rambo came first, though, as far as we know. We might discover more movies as we continue doing these reviews. But Rambo 82, that's the first one in our reviews. So he's Ramboing it.
So he's Ramboing. They're all Ramboing it.
Mm-hmm.
That could also be sexual. So could home aloneing it, really, if you think about it.
Let's get into the skinny. Let's give our final grades for First Blood. I'll go first. I'll give it A-. I think it's a really, really great action movie. You know, like it's got some fantastic performances by Sylvester Stallone. Really, like I said, giving like a Academy Award worthy performance, even if it's just for those 3 minutes. It's there, and you know, it's a simple story, but it's interesting, it's fun, and I liked it a lot. So definitely, if you haven't seen First Blood, go out and watch it.
B- from me. It totally holds up as far as, sorry, George, as still one of Stallone's best performances, which saves it for a lot for me. But as far as it having a near perfect act structure, the pacing in the second act really slowed it down for me. And as much as it looked beautiful and it was shot great for the time it was shot, I just can't give it higher than that. And rewatching it again, I was like, ugh, I'll probably never watch this movie ever again.
I'm going to give this film a little context before I give my final review. All right. When I would teach film studies, I used to say that there's two ways you can look at a film: as a film or as a movie. That films are watched by people who have their ass caught nice and tight. They have their martini within reach. They have some Foucault nearby, maybe some Derrida. You know, there's all these things are within reach, and that you can look at certain creations of art and say, "Oh, that is a film." But a movie, say by Michael Bay, you'd say, "Oh, that's a movie." I would almost say that Rambo: First Blood hedges out of its action movie roots right into being called a film by that other definition. I don't even see it as an action movie. I see it as a commentary on the Vietnam War, like the book was that it was based on. And if you never see another Rambo movie, actually, let me rephrase that. Never see another Rambo movie.
But if you do, watch Rambo 2. Oh, sorry, Rambo: First Blood, Part 2.
Rambo as well, you mean?
Rambo also Rambo.
Oh my goodness.
And what's your grade?
Yeah, what was your grade?
Oh, what is my grade? 2 olives in the martini for Rambo: First Blood.
That's 2 out of 2, right?
I don't know. I've never had a martini.
You don't normally get more than 2. So
yeah, no, it's a solid film. I will give it on the red headband scale of Rambo films, it definitely gets 4.5 red headbands.
Oh, wow, it's high. It's a lot of red headbands. Can you have half a red headband? It'd just fall off. I don't think you can have half a headband.
It would fall.
Well, when it's tattered. One of the films, I won't tell you which one. I don't want to spoil it. He wears a blue headband for part of the movie.
Ooh. That's a real departure. It's a fashion statement.
And that's going to give it. And that's it for another episode of Inside Movies. GMB CHOMICHUK, Andrew Buckley, I want to thank you for being on the show. I've linked all your socials in the description of this video, and also there's a link to the Eye Collector. So make sure you go and check out Greg's awesome new comic. We'll see you next time, guys. Peace.
Thanks for having us, George.